Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So far, we have discussed about Riba Nasi'a, where does Riba Nasi'a applies, and we discussed two of the examples of it. And here we are going to discuss in this chapter particularly about the second type of riba, which is Riba Al Fadhl. So Riba Al Fadhl, the foundation of it, that it deals, both the sides will have goods to goods, just like barter system. An extra from either of the side in the specific thing is regarded as riba. And the foundation of this is on a beautiful hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentioned the six items whenever they are exchanged within the like items, then they must be exchanged on the spot and they must be exchanged in equal. So it was gold, silver, wheat, barley, dates, and salt. Anyone who gives more or asks more has dealt in riba. So receiver and giver are equally guilty when they are dealing with such kind of uh, transaction. So ulama, the scholars uh, or the fuqaha or the scholars of jurisprudence have studied this hadith, and each scholar has come with a different principle of understanding the riba. They mentioned that these particular rules were actually at the time where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi was, but these goods were there at the time when they were used a lot among the people. They were heavily exchanged among the people. So that's why the hadith mentions about these six things. But the time changed, people started developing, Islam started to spread, people started to have different types of exchange, different types of consumption for their daily livelihood. So they thought, why not we study this hadith and to understand the reasoning and the principle of this hadith. So each scholar have studied it differently. Once we analyze all the scholars and the reasoning and the principles they have created for the transaction where we exchange goods to goods, they have come up to the conclusion that all of these six items mentioned in this hadith are actually can be weighed or can be measured. They are scalable items. And they made out a rule that any scalable item which can be measured in weight, which can be measured in liters, whenever they are exchanged, they must be exchanged in equal. If they are not exchanged in equal, then that particular transaction will be a transaction of riba al fadl, right? While some scholars have also added to it that if we see wheat, barley, dates, and salt, they are actually food items that can be stored. So hence, if the food item is there and when it is exchanged for the like items, they must be exchanging equal. So they have taken out these principles, and this principle then has to be applied in all the transaction. For example, in the current times, if someone is exchanging cement with the cement. Now, when we have to look, if cement is an item that can be measured in weight, yes, we say 5 kg of cement. So when it's exchanged with another cement, it can be of different quality, that doesn't matter. But as far as it's of the same kind or same type, it must be exchanged with same measure, which is or same weight. So this is a key thing that needs to be understood while doing riba al fadl. And riba al fadl is still heavily practiced among different multinational corporations, companies, as a resource of exchange. Even countries, they deal in exchanging goods to goods. So they have to be very careful that they are not dealing with riba al fadl. However, If the items are different on the exchange, so gold is being exchanged with silver, or wheat is being exchanged with dates, or salt with dates, or uh, any different items being exchanged, then this is not a riba, even if it is more on the other side. As we have an example, gold for dates. So it's totally different. So this is needs to be considered and needs to be understood. So these things needs to be understood carefully while seeing how it is. For example, some people one may say, okay, what about cars, right? I will exchange Lamborghini with Ferrari, with two of Ferraris. Is that a riba? No, that's not riba because we normally or generally do not weigh the cars. We count the cars. So anything countable which is quantified, can be in numbers like one, two, three. They are not counted in Riba Al Fadhl. What is counted in Riba Al Fadhl? Anything that is weighed, that is measured, or that is scalable, that can be counted. And this scalable or measure or weight is according to the norm of the community or norm of the society or norm of the country. So nobody says 1,800 kilogram of car in exchange of 2,000 kilogram of car. Nobody talks like that. And that's why we quantify them, right? So Riba al Fadl is like that. So Riba al Fadl, we need to see one basic principle, which is both the parties, both the side must have equal item. They will have same item, and they both items must be able to measure or must be able to scalable. If they are food, then these are those foods that can be stored. If the food is such that cannot be stored, then that is also not counted under riba. So if such items are being exchanged or such products are being exchanged, then they must be exchanged in equal. Now, this understanding, this reason has actually derived from this beautiful hadith. So it's not just a hadith, it's actually a principle also for us to take and use this in our daily life and protect ourselves from riba.